Hello there, vibrant singers, and I hope everyone's doing well in this time. I have a special guest with me today, Gayleen Gomez of Compass Rose Nutrition, and we're going to be talking a lot about the things you can control in this very stressful time. For those of you who don't know me, I am Elizabeth Roodhoff of The Fit Singer. I'm a voice teacher and health coach, personal trainer, and nutrition coach. And we are here to help you in this time, which can be very stressful for many of us. So, hi, Gayleen. It's nice to have you
Hi,
here with us.
thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an important time to really start prioritizing our health, so I'm happy to be here and share with your people as well.
Yes. So, I think you were talking about when we had chatted earlier that to help with the stress, I mean, obviously, there's things we can't control, like the isolation that's happening right now,
Yeah,
and for many people, of course, sometimes loss of income is a serious problem, and those are things we can't control. But there are things we can control. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things we can control?
yeah, I love that because it's a reframe on when everything feels crazy right now, as it does, and it's probably going to for a bit longer. It feels like there is much out of our control. And so I think for our sanity and our stress levels and the health of our, relationships with our families and the people in our homes that we're stuck with, it's important to focus on the things that we can control. And it almost gives us a little bit of power back. So I have kind of four main categories that I like to talk with my clients about. Do you want me to dive in and talk a little bit about each of those?
Yes, I think you call those your four pillars.
My four pillars of health. Yeah. So, in general, in life, when we really keep ourselves healthy at the best of times, then when things get harder, they get tough, we're a little bit stronger going into that. And so, my idea here is that let's bring back some of the things that are easy to adjust, easy little tweaks, instead of feeling like we need to, cook all our meals perfectly healthy and get all the exercise and sleep 10 hours and do all the things, because that can just add more to the overwhelm. I don't have kids, but I'm hearing a lot from my clients that they're feeling really overwhelmed with having their kids at home and the change of routine and all of those things. And so if we add even more to their plate as health coaches, it just feels like more overwhelm. And so,
That's
yeah, if we
Yeah,
can
that's
focus on
absolutely
like a
true because
couple,
I know there are a lot of people who, that are singers here that are used to being out and somewhere else doing their practicing in studios or going to rehearsals, or even the teachers who are teaching outside of the home, or even when they do teach in the home, the kids are at school. And now all of a sudden, everyone is on top of each other. The husbands are home doing their work from home as well. And it's just, yeah, it can be really quite an adjustment to the routine.
yeah, I have a little exercise that I do with my clients, and we'll just kind of do like a quick little overview of it. You can do it on your own, but it gives you a way to really narrow it down to like one thing that you should probably focus on. Because if I was to come here and say, oh, you should do this, or you have to do that, or try this, or try that, it's going to leave you feeling like there's a lot. So I'd rather give you an exercise where you can kind of figure out that one thing that you guys should start doing first. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds absolutely great.
So I have a little piece of paper and it's something that you guys can recreate. It's super simple little chart. Basically just a line down the middle and across. One category is nutrition, one is exercise, one is sleep, and one is mindset. And those are my four pillars of health. And I know that Elizabeth talks about all of those as well because as health coaches, they're all important. But we need to really make sure that we put a priority on the one that needs the most help for us. So, what I like to do is to walk you through each of those categories. So, say, for example, in the last 7 days, how has your nutrition been? How have you been eating? Have you been eating breakfast or have you been eating chips? Have you been actually cooking healthy meals or have you just been swinging by a drive through every day? Think about your last 7 days and just give yourself a score 1 to 10. 1 is like, I'm not doing good at all in this category, and 10 is like, perfect all the time. You're probably going to be somewhere in the middle, but pick yourself a number between 1 and 10 and just give yourself that honest reflection of your past week of where you have been in that nutrition category.
And I know this is a difficult time too, isn't it?
It
With
is.
because people are going for the comfort foods.
Yeah.
I always like
And
to say that comfort foods, you can choose comfort foods that are also healthy foods too.
for sure we can, and it's about balance and it's about making some healthy choices, but also about not stressing ourselves out about it. There's foods that we can be giving our immune system, and staying healthy and doing the best we can is important, but it kind of an honest reflection as to like, what have you been doing? If you look back and you think, oh, I stocked up with all this healthy food, but I've only eaten boxes of Kraft dinner every night, then you're probably throwing away a lot of healthy food at the end of the week. And then we're going to do the same for exercise. So under the exercise category, how have you been doing in the last week? Have you been a couch potato and just binging on Netflix? Maybe you're working from home and you've been on the computer for hours and hours every day. Have you been getting up and walking around? Have you been moving your body? Have you been getting the blood flowing? Or have you been that couch potato? And give yourself that score again, 1 to 10. 1 is like, I've been the total couch potato. Or 10 is like, I'm working out every day. I'm doing super good. I built a home gym. So you're probably again somewhere in that middle area. And then we get to the next category of sleep. And sleep is one that I like to give this example that if you are only getting 4 hours of sleep at night, then you're probably not waking up and cooking yourself a healthy breakfast. And you're probably not actually getting that workout in. And you're probably going to be a bit tired and cranky by the afternoon. So if sleep is your one that's out of balance, that might be the one you need to focus on first. So give yourself that honest reflection of the last week. Score of 1 to 10. Where have you been on that kind of scale? If you've been only getting a couple hours and broken sleep, and you've been staying up really late at night and catching up on the news, feeling really stressed when you go to bed, and you're not having good quality sleep, you're at the bottom end of that. If you're getting your solid 8 or 9 hours every night, you're at the top of that. And then the last category is mindset. And mindset is one that is really hard. You could call it mindset, self-care, stress. Use any of those words that you feel like fit your description in here. But that fourth pillar is all about how are you caring for your mental and emotional health right now. And so give yourself that score based off of things like you're having panic attacks, or you're actually, really doing some meditation and journaling and working through all your feelings. And give yourself that score as to what you are struggling with, or what you have been doing really well on. And when you look back at these 4 different pillars and you have 4 different numbers there, this is a nice exercise to do regularly, because if you look back, those numbers are 4 different numbers. Now, if you have a 5, a 6, and a 7, and a 2, whichever category has that 2 is the one that I would recommend you prioritize.
No,
Because
that's
when you
really
bring,
great advice there.
yeah, when you bring that one into focus and you start thinking, okay, like this is the one I'm really struggling with the most, then you have one thing you need to work on. So maybe your nutrition is only okay, and maybe your exercise is only okay, and maybe your sleep's only okay, but your stress levels are bananas right now, then that's where I'd want you to focus on first. So as a health and nutrition coach, most people come to me thinking we're going to talk all about healthy eating, and that's the only thing that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give them a diet. But that's not the case, because when these are out of whack, it puts a lot of stress and strain on all of them. So same as that example is, if you're not sleeping well, you're not going to have a nice breakfast, and you're not going to exercise, and you're going to be stressed in the afternoon. So we need to focus on your sleep. And it works on all of those. You can kind of compare and contrast. If you're not exercising, then you're probably not sleeping well, and you're probably stressed, and we can connect them all. So that's a nice little exercise I like to do with my clients when they need to focus in on just 1 or 2 things that they really need to do when they're feeling overwhelmed, that there's lots of things to do.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, because there's right now hearing so many different things from people, and it's really. Uh, could you talk maybe a little bit about stress and acid reflux?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
So,
actually something, and it's, acid reflux, of course, is a big concern for many singers,
mhm.
and right now with the stress levels, I think that many people are struggling with that right now.
Yeah, and so this is another great example because um, if the stress one is affecting you, then stress does affect your nutrition and your digestion and all of those other pieces. And if you have acid reflux, it's also going to be affecting your sleep. And so it's another really good one to realize how these pieces can all be connected. And so if you are struggling with acid reflux, we of course need to look at that, but we also need to make sure that your nutrition is on point and your sleep is on point, because those three are going to be very interconnected. And so focusing on your whole foods and understanding what it could be that's causing your acid reflux, if it's nutrition related. If it's stress related, another case. And so what I like to have people do is, there's never going to be a one answer, right? There's never going to be one thing that I could say, this is what's causing it for all of you. And so what I'd encourage you to do, and I can give you this resource if you'd like for your people, is I have what's called a food, mood, and health journal. And I want you to start tracking what you eat and what you do and how you feel. And recognizing that connection, because I think a lot of times we get into habit and we get into routine and we do things anyways, and whether it's comfort food or whether it's the way that we put ourselves to bed or how fast we eat. And acid reflux can be connected to a lot of different pieces. So if you start tracking if it's a certain food that is causing it, if it's eating really fast that's causing it, if it's your digestion of certain foods that's causing it, and start finding those connections so that you can start shifting and adjusting those. And so I have what's called a food, mood, and health journal where you can actually track all of that. And it's super, super helpful. And it can be quite eye-opening to get yourself out of that routine and be like, oh yeah, every time I do this, I feel like this. And then you're empowered to actually start making changes.
Okay, that's a great resource, and I will be sure to
Yeah.
link that in the comments then.
And it works for a lot of different things. Of course, acid reflux is one of them, but even just stress in general. If you find yourself that you are really stressed at this point of time, it's really nice to look back and figure out why and what's leading you to that point. And connecting the dots can be really, really empowering for people to think about what to start focusing on next.
Right. So they've done the exercise and they know now which pillar they need to work on. So what are some ideas people can try to improve on in each of the areas?
Yeah, for sure. So this is the part where we want you to feel like you have some control over this world that is out of control right now, right? So now that you've done the exercise and you know which pillar to work on, I would say tackle that one thing for the next week and just give yourself some grace on the rest of those things and really realize that that one thing is going to help the rest. So regardless of what your health goal is, or regardless as to why you're doing the exercise, really realize that that one that you're struggling with can actually start to have effects on all the other areas of your life. So for example, if it is nutrition and that's the one you're struggling with and you haven't been eating well lately, know that it's going to take a toll on your stress and your other things long term. So start by eating more whole foods. Start by changing out some of your snacks for more nourishing snacks, more healthy snacks. Start your day with a healthy breakfast. And again, you don't need to pick all of those, but these are just giving you a few things you can control. If you make a big batch of, oats in the morning and you're going to start your day with that instead of a bowl of sugary cereal, then that's one thing that you can do that's actually going to set you up for the rest of the day. So thinking about little things within the nutrition world, that Elizabeth can help you with, or I can help you with. There's a lot of things that you probably already know you can do. And chances are you can look at that and say, oh, I probably should be doing better at X. And whatever that thing is, you probably already know one or two things that you could be trying. And so the same with exercise. If you gave yourself a poor score on that, it probably triggered your mind to think, you know what, I've actually been sitting at my desk for like 5 hours straight when you said that. So maybe the one thing that you can do is set a little timer to get up and actually move your body a little bit more. Or get up and walk your kids or your dog in the morning. Or whatever it is that you gave yourself that poor score on, there's one thing that you could actually start trying and doing a little bit better at, and try and just do it for the next week.
Yeah. Well, exercise for one thing, oh, thank goodness it's spring.
I
I
know.
know.
It's finally turning nice where I live
Because
too.
now you can go out for a walk at least. I can't imagine. I'm in Winnipeg, so it gets sometimes to minus 40 Celsius in
Oh,
the winter, or certainly minus 25 quite regularly, and couldn't imagine being cooped up in the house and it's too cold to go out.
yeah, I'm in
So,
Alberta, and
yeah.
so it's cold here too, but I'm close to the mountains where we get the Chinooks
Mm,
blowing through. So it'll get really cold and then it'll shoot up to nice and warm. So I feel like we've had spring 3 or 4 times already this year, and I
yeah.
think now it's actually finally here. So it's really nice now.
Yeah. So that's a
Yeah.
great time to start going for walks outside.
Yeah, like exercise, it doesn't have to be that full intense going to the gym for an hour a day. The goal here is like just get your body moving if that's the one that you're struggling with. Like if exercise was your piece that's really, really low and that's the piece you're struggling with, then just give yourself grace and try and get your body moving, doing something. And a walk outside in the fresh air is amazing.
Right.
Under the sleep category, that's a tricky one. Many of my clients come to me with struggles to sleep. And so if you're not getting good quality sleep, then I think there's a little bit of work here to be done with yourself, asking yourself, why not? Is it that you're staying up late watching the news? Is it that you're so busy in the day and the evening that you run out of time? Is it that you're watching Netflix for hours?
Yeah.
Is it that you're on social media? So think through, what is the reason that you're not getting enough sleep?
Yeah. I
Why
think
is it that?
for many singers, especially if they are working singers, of course, they have to deal with late nights performing. So
Yep.
that actually adds a different element. Because as I always say, singers are shift workers, and many of them are actually double shift workers because they have their day job and then
Yeah.
they're performing at night. So, do you have any tips that someone could deal with? I mean, I'm sure now, because there are no performances going on, that many singers are actually getting more sleep than they usually do, and they're probably feeling the benefit of it. But when they
Yeah.
get back to their normal routine, do you have any suggestions for them?
Yeah. I don't necessarily work with singers specifically to know what that schedule it is, but I can imagine it's hard. I do work with a lot of nurses. And so they're on that wacky schedule too, right? Where they might work days or nights or change from here to there. And one of the things that I've found to work a lot with my ladies is really make sure that they're planning it out. So when they get home from work, what do they need to do to wind themselves down to go to bed? Because when we change our hours and change our bodies like that, sometimes just the fact that you're off work doesn't mean that you get to come home and lay your head on the pillow and go straight to sleep. And
That's right.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, what
Yeah.
I generally find is coming up with a bedtime routine that you've told yourself, look, I get home and I have to do this. So whatever that looks like, if you need to eat, if you need to do any specific things before you go to bed, maybe then you decide you're going to have a bath or a shower and you're going to use some essential oils and you're going to listen to a meditation and you're going to start some deep breathing exercises and you're going to lay down and not look at your phone and you're going to go to bed. So I find that it's really a conscious way of setting up that nighttime routine. And whatever nighttime or bedtime is for you, creating a routine of what that looks like so that you don't come home and get sucked into household chores or TV or anything else. So creating that routine, I find, is one of the best steps that I've taken with my clients, or what they've taken that has actually worked, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I suggest as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
it is difficult when you're doing
it
shifts, and it
is.
is one of the struggles, because then of course that quite often results in poor eating habits as well.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it is all connected. Yeah,
And
and
then the
then we
last one is the mindset and stress. And the mindset and stress and the self-care. And I lately have had more and more clients telling me this is actually what I work on with the ladies in my membership as well. And so I actually make them do this over and over and over again. This isn't a once and done, it's a continual reassessment. And all of them are saying that this one's out the window right now. And so I think that one is also really just questioning yourself on what you can be doing better or different. So if you're not handling your stress very well right now, it's going to be trying to find a way to do that. Having the conversation with your partner or your family as to how you guys could make things easier on each other. Setting up a bit of routine, spending some time alone, close your door to your bedroom and hide in there for a little bit if you need to. Ask yourself, what do I need for my own sanity and self-care to reduce my stress levels? And often that's going to be, a little bit less of the news or the media, a little bit more self-care time. And self-care could just be reading a book, like a fiction book that's completely off topic and take you off into this other dreamland. Maybe for you, it is singing. Maybe it is, calling a friend or a family member and really taking and appreciating that quality time. But asking yourself what would make your day a little bit easier. And then honoring that, giving yourself that time and that space to really, really do that for yourself. Because as we said, this could last weeks or months, and things are, shifting into a new normal, and we need to adjust as well. And so giving yourself that space to figure out what that new normal is and not being too hard on yourself that you need to be doing, better at being a teacher at home for your kids, or better at co-space with your partner, in the home if you're both working together, whatever that looks like for you. Just giving yourself a little bit of time and space to adjust and not hard on yourself that you should have been better at it.
Yeah, this is definitely the time for giving yourself that permission.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very much
to
so.
be easy on ourselves and just love ourselves more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something that gets put to the wayside. People are too busy. And right now it's like, you know what? I'm not too busy, so I'm going to start prioritizing myself and my health. And I need to honor me because I need to be strong for the rest of my family. So it's time to take care of our needs too.
Yeah, and that's so often, especially if someone is a mother or a caregiver for someone, and we just want to take care of the other people so much and forget to take care of ourselves. And it's so important, especially in a time like this, where, you don't know what might happen.
Yeah, things can change so quickly, and the better we take care of ourselves now, then the healthier we stay, right? And just like what they say on the airplanes, if the oxygen mask drops off, that you're supposed to put it on yourself first so that you can take care of the people around you. And I think it's such an important reminder to really be prioritizing our health and caring for ourselves at a time like this, and looking out for the things that we need, and not just letting life happen to us, but like we said earlier, taking back a little bit of control. Like, these are things that we can control. We can control what we eat. What we put in our body is something that's in our control. Our exercise, that's in our control. Maybe our gym closed down, but we can still move our bodies. We can go for a walk out in the fresh air. Our sleep, sure, some of it might be, but we can absolutely be putting a heavier focus on that. And so I think remembering that we do have some control over these things, if not what's happening in the rest of the world, then at least we have a little bit of power back.
Right. And as you say, with the sleep, I mean, we have the control of our bedtime routine, which is going to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So then how often do you suggest that these assessments, that your little sheet should be done?
Yeah, I usually say, like, after you do it that first time and you can really focus on that one thing for a week, you're probably going to notice improvement on that thing, right? Creating those healthy habits can be hard if we try and do too many at once.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like to say, just pick one, like just pick something and take full charge on that one this week. Give yourself 7 days and reassess yourself. Wait a week, do it again and see where you're at. If you see improvement on there, it's actually quite rewarding. So if you were all at like 2s and 3s and 4s, and all of a sudden you have a 6 or a 7, you're actually gonna be like, yes, I'm proud of myself. And sometimes it's gonna shift up equally, right? When we improve our sleep or when we improve our exercise, all of the other things tend to improve as well. And so usually when one number comes up, the rest of them also do. But we may have a really bad week, and we may, one thing's doing better and the other thing's doing bad, and it shifts. So when you do that reassessment, always then look for the lowest number on there and be honest with yourself. The only way that it works is if you're totally honest with yourself. And look for that low number. And it's like, okay, I think I have my sleep under control now, or I've created this nice bedtime routine. I'm really proud of that. That's working for me. I could do better, but at least it's going well. But my stress is still really getting to me. So let me pick up this one that's kind of lagging, and I'll bring that one into focus for a week as well.
Okay, and what do you suggest about, how about if you find that you have two areas where they both have the same low number?
Pick
How do
one.
you choose? Yeah.
Pick one. Yeah. Because like we say, when you try and do too many things at once, they'll all be half done. You can do one thing really well. And so because they're all connected, pick the one that you feel like you're able to tackle this week. This one feels manageable. You can do that. This one you can have a plan. You'd like to create that bedtime routine. That's the one thing you really want to focus on doing. Again, I think looking in, because a lot of times we really know what we could be doing better and what we should be doing better. And sometimes really just digging inwards and asking ourselves those questions. Sometimes it's a pretty obvious answer what comes out as to what our next steps should be.
Oh, right. Yeah, that all sounds just fabulous. And do you have anything else that you would like to add to what you've been talking about?
No, like you said, I think right now just there's so much going on and there's so much change and there's so much happening that right now is just a time to give ourselves some grace, right? Like, yes, focus on our health because we need to be able to take good care of ourselves, but at the same time, just know that this is just one blip in the road and we'll get through it, but we need to really focus on ourselves and our health and our families and staying safe right now.
Yeah.
And so do the best that you can with what you have.
Yeah, that's so important to also just remember that it is just a blip.
Yeah.
Because I think there's so much doom and gloom being forecast out there, and that, yeah, that can be feeling really overwhelming, but know that it will pass. It will pass, and we will get back on track. And it might be a little bit of a struggle to get back on track, but it will be done.
Mm-hmm. And when we have these little tools at our hands to really have control of something, it gives us something else to focus on and think about and work on and practice and learn and research. And like I said, I can give you guys some tools, to start working on. And I'm sure Elizabeth has lots of ideas of things that you can do, things that you can control. And so there's this saying that I've always really loved is what you think about, you bring about. So if you start focusing on how can I make my sleep better and what could my bedtime routine look like, and which essential oils should I pick to go to bed at night, and you really start thinking about all of these things that you do actually have control about, you're going to feel so much better than if you're like, oh, I'm sleeping horrible and everything's hard and this is difficult and everything's stressful. Just start shifting your mind into what can I control? What do I have power over right now in my life? And that's going to make you feel so much more calm about everything that's going on, because in your own home, you are in charge.
Yeah, well, that's so true. And being distracted with a project like that, working on yourself, it's good for yourself, but also just that distraction helps ease some of that burden of stress.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, there's just one other thing that I think maybe we should discuss is about the other thing that we can control, not watching the news so much, not being on Facebook so much and watching the feeds. And, I think that's a big thing that maybe we can talk about.
Yeah. So what I do just for me personally is I pick where I'm going to get my news from. So I pick the resources that I trust. I want to stay up to date. We're not saying put on blinders and don't know what's going on out there, but I don't need to know what's necessarily going on in every country, in every state, in everyone's life. I need to know what's going on for me and my family and what's important to me.
Right. And you don't need to know it every hour on the hour either.
Right. Right. And so I pick where I'm getting my information from. Pick a reliable source that you trust, that you know you're going to be up to date on what's going on, but it's not going to feel overwhelming. And so pick a news channel or a news broadcaster that you find somewhat soothing to listen to as opposed to panic to listen to. Get the information, make your decisions of what you need to make for your family and your health and all of the pieces in your life, but just don't let it feel like it's overwhelming you. And it gives you so much more peace in your day. Not that I want you to forget what's going on out there, but there are many hours a day that I do forget what's going on because I'm doing other things. And so I encourage people to really try and create that separation for yourself as well. Because if you're stressing yourself out all hours of the day and checking it every day, you're elevating all kinds of things in your body that are not good for you. And we need to really focus on staying calm and getting good sleep and working on all of these things that we have control of. Whereas if our brain is spiraling and our heart rate's going and we're feeling emotionally and mentally stressed and exhausted, that actually really takes a toll on our health as well.
Right. Okay, well, thank you for so much great information today, Gayleen.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. It was nice to chat with you.
Yeah, it was great. And I will make sure that your links to your resources are available to everyone who's watching.
Perfect.
And yeah, thank you again so much. And everyone stay safe and be healthy.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.